March 12, 2023, 8:47 p.m. Museum of Modern Art Annual Gala. Security footage shows a black woman in evening wear being escorted toward the exit. She smiled and whispered 5 words that changed everything. 2 hours earlier, Nicole Pierce stepped out of a sleek black town car onto the red carpet outside the Museum of Modern Art. The annual Black Excellence in Art Gala had transformed the austere modernist building into a beacon of light against the Manhattan night sky. At 38, Nicole moved with the quiet confidence that came from building a tech empire worth billions. Her custom Prada gown, with its structured shoulders and cascading midnight blue fabric, cost more than what most Americans earn in a month. Nicole checked her diamond watch, 6:50 p.m. She was fashionably early. "Excuse me, where do you think you're going?" The security guard's voice cut through the ambient chatter of arriving guests. Thomas Reynolds, 32, newly hired for event security, stepped directly into Nicole's path. Nicole smiled politely. "I'm attending the gala." She reached into her clutch for her VIP invitation, platinum bordered, personally signed by the museum director. Reynolds barely glanced at it. "Service entrance is around back. Catering staff need to check in with the event coordinator." The assumption hung in the air between them. Nicole's expression remained neutral, though her spine straightened imperceptibly. "I'm not catering staff. I'm a guest." She held out her invitation more firmly this time. VIP section. Jessica Miller, 27, the front desk coordinator, approached with a clipboard. Her eyes scanned Nicole from head to toe, lingering on her natural hair styled in an elegant updo. "There must be some mistake," Miller said. "The VIP list is quite exclusive. Perhaps you're at the wrong event?" Nicole noticed a white couple behind her being waved through without having their invitations checked. The woman wore a department store dress that couldn't match Nicole's couture gown, yet they weren't questioned. "There's no mistake," Nicole replied, her voice remaining measured despite the growing tension. "Please check your list again, Nicole Pierce." Miller made a show of scanning her clipboard. "I don't see that name here. This is a private event for museum donors and special guests." A small crowd had begun to gather. Phones appeared in several hands, recording the interaction. Nicole could sense the tension building, the assumptions crystallizing. "Would you like me to call someone who can verify my invitation?" Nicole asked, reaching for her phone. "That won't be necessary." Reynolds stepped closer. "We have strict security protocols. If you're not on the list, you'll need to leave." The contrast was stark. Nicole in her designer gown being treated like an intruder, while others walked past unchallenged. In that moment, her Harvard MBA, her Fortune 500 company, her billions in assets, none of it mattered against the assumptions being made about who belonged in these hallowed halls. Nicole's hand closed around her phone. What happened in the next 10 minutes would transform the Museum of Modern Art forever. "Ma'am, I need you to step aside," Reynolds said, his voice rising just enough to attract more attention. "You're holding up other guests." Nicole didn't move. "I paid $25,000 for my ticket to this event. I'd appreciate if you'd check the VIP list again." Miller exchanged glances with Reynolds. "$25,000? The donor tickets weren't available to the general public." "I'm aware," Nicole replied calmly. "I purchased mine directly through the museum director's office." A museum visitor named Miguel Rodriguez, 24, had stopped to watch the interaction. A digital marketing specialist with 50,000 TikTok followers, he recognized a moment of significance. He discreetly began recording on his phone. "Is this for real?" he whispered into his microphone. "They're questioning this woman but letting everyone else through without checking." Miller stepped back slightly, phone pressed to her ear. "Amanda, we have a situation at the main entrance. Someone claiming to be on the VIP list?" "No, she's very insistent." Nicole noticed more phones appearing in the growing crowd. The contrast between her treatment and others entering the gala was becoming increasingly obvious. White guests continued flowing past security with barely a glance at their credentials. "Perhaps we can take this discussion somewhere more private," Nicole suggested. "That won't be necessary," said Amanda Chen, the event coordinator, who had arrived with a tablet in hand. At 31, she'd organized 3 previous galas without incident. "There must be a simple misunderstanding about tonight's event." Chen's tone carried the particular condescension reserved for those deemed uninformed. This is an exclusive fundraiser for museum benefactors and art world luminaries. The tickets aren't generally available for purchase. Rodriguez's TikTok livestream viewer count jumped from 200 to 1,500 in under a minute. Comments flooded in. What am I watching? They're profiling her. This is wild. A woman named Jasmine Williams, 29, a fashion blogger attending the event, recognized Nicole instantly. Wait, that's Nicole Pierce, the tech CEO. Chen ignored the comment. Ma'am, without proper credentials, we'll need to escort you out. This is a private function. I've shown you my invitation, Nicole replied, her voice steady despite the growing hostility. I'm simply asking you to verify my name on your list. Reynolds stepped closer. Ma'am, you need to calm down. I haven't raised my voice once. Nicole observed, maintaining perfect composure. Your aggressive body language suggests you're the one who might need to calm down. Rodriguez's livestream hit 3,000 viewers. He narrated quietly, they're telling her to calm down when she's literally the calmest person here. This is textbook. Museum director Richard Thompson, 58, was greeting VIPs in the main gallery when his assistant received the first text about the situation. He continued his conversations, unaware of the crisis unfolding in the lobby. Chen scrolled through her tablet with growing frustration. I don't see any Nicole Pierce here. Perhaps you were invited to a different event. What exactly are you implying? Nicole asked. I'm not implying anything, Chen replied defensively. I'm stating that you're not on our list. Williams pushed forward through the crowd. She's Nicole Pierce, Forbes 40 under 40. She runs Nouveau Tech Solutions. Chen dismissed this with a wave. Anyone can claim to be someone important. Rodriguez's livestream hit 5,000 viewers as he captured Chen's dismissive gesture. Comments exploded. Is this really happening? They don't believe she belongs there. Someone Google her. Nicole remained perfectly still, a center of calm amid growing chaos. I understand you're doing your job. Would it help if I called Director Thompson directly? We spoke earlier today about my contribution to tonight's exhibition. Director Thompson is busy with actual VIP guests, Chen replied sharply. If you continue to make a scene, we'll have security remove you. The implied threat hung in the air as Reynolds shifted his stance. 3 more security guards appeared nearby, watching the situation unfold. Nicole smiled slightly. I see. And would these actual VIP guests include people who look like me, or only those who look like you? The question landed like a thunderclap. Several gasps came from the crowd. Rodriguez's livestream jumped to 7,500 viewers, with shares multiplying across platforms. That's not what I didn't mean. Chen stammered, suddenly aware of how many phones were recording. Nicole checked her diamond watch again. I'll give you exactly 5 more minutes to sort this out before I make a call that none of us will forget. 5 minutes can feel like an eternity when tension fills the air. The museum's grand lobby, with its soaring ceilings and polished marble floors, had transformed from a celebration of artistic excellence to a stage for something far more revealing. Nicole opened her clutch and retrieved her phone, the latest model, with a custom case bearing her company logo. The device reflected the museum's dramatic lighting as she scrolled through her contacts with manicured fingers. Who exactly are you calling? Chen asked, her confidence wavering slightly. Someone who actually belongs here, Nicole replied, echoing Chen's earlier dismissive tone. Rodriguez's livestream counter hit 12,000 viewers. Comments flooded in so quickly they blurred across the screen. The crowd around them had grown, with Gala attendees pausing to witness the confrontation instead of proceeding to the exhibition. The museum's pristine acoustics, designed to carry the gentle notes of the string quartet playing in the adjacent gallery, now amplified every word of their exchange. Crystal chandeliers cast prisms of light across Nicole's silk gown as she stood perfectly still, the embodiment of composure. Nicole pressed a single contact and placed the phone to her ear. Richard? It's Nicole Pierce. I seem to be having an issue at the entrance to your gala. Chen's eyes widened at the casual use of the museum director's first name. Yes, I'm in the main lobby, Nicole continued. Your staff doesn't believe I belong here. Perhaps you could clarify the situation? Reynolds shifted uncomfortably, suddenly less certain of his authority. The security team exchanged glances, their earlier confidence dissolving with each second of Nicole's conversation. 4 minutes, she announced calmly after ending the call. 4 minutes until what? Miller asked, her clipboard now clutched tightly against her chest. Until Director Thompson arrives to personally escort me in, Nicole replied. He's quite concerned about the reception I've received. The museum's carefully curated atmosphere. The subtle fragrance of fresh flowers arranged in minimalist vases, the gentle hum of conversations from the VIP lounge just beyond the velvet ropes, the soft glow of spotlights on displayed sculptures, contrasted sharply with the growing discomfort among the staff. Chen tapped frantically on her tablet. There must be some mistake in our system. Let me check again. 3 minutes, Nicole noted, glancing at her watch. The power dynamic had shifted palpably. Now it was Chen who appeared out of place, her earlier authority crumbling under mounting pressure. Reynolds had taken several steps back, trying to distance himself from the situation he'd helped create. Rodriguez narrated quietly to his now 20,000 viewers. The director is coming down. This is about to get real. Williams, the fashion blogger, had begun her own live stream, focusing on Nicole's impeccable composure. This woman hasn't raised her voice once while being publicly humiliated. Watch and learn. 2 minutes, Nicole announced. Chen's tablet slipped from her hands, clattering against the marble floor. As she bent to retrieve it, her face flushed with embarrassment. Miss Pierce, she began, her voice suddenly respectful. I found your name on our secondary list. It seems there was a classification error. What kind of classification error? Nicole asked. Chen hesitated. Your name was listed under major donors rather than general attendees. I see, Nicole replied. And does that explain why you assumed I didn't belong here? Before Chen could respond, the crowd parted. Director Thompson hurried across the lobby, his bow tie slightly askew from his rapid descent from the main gallery. 1 minute to spare, Nicole noted, her composure unbroken as the museum's most powerful figure rushed toward her. Nicole, Director Thompson called out, his voice carrying across the lobby. My deepest apologies for this confusion. At 58, Thompson had navigated countless delicate situations in his 20-year museum career, but the panic in his eyes betrayed that this ranked among the worst. He reached Nicole and took both her hands in his, a gesture of familiarity impossible to miss. Richard, Nicole replied with a measured smile, your staff has been quite thorough in their security protocols. Thompson's gaze darted between Chen, Reynolds, and Miller, who stood frozen in place. The director's expression shifted from concern to barely controlled anger. Thorough is one word for it, he said tightly. Turning to the staff, he continued, Miss Pierce is not just a VIP guest. She's our honored guest tonight. Rodriguez's live stream viewer count had reached 35,000. Comments flooded in so quickly they became a blur of exclamation points and shocked emojis. Williams' fashion channel had picked up another 5,000 viewers, they had all witnessing this unfolding drama in real time. Director Thompson, Chen began, her voice barely above a whisper, there was a misunderstanding about. Miss Pierce funded the entire exhibition we're celebrating tonight. Thompson interrupted, his voice carrying throughout the marble lobby. The statement landed like a thunderclap. Several audible gasps came from the assembled crowd. Reynolds took another step backward, as if trying to physically distance himself from his earlier actions. The Nicole Pierce wing, Thompson continued, gesturing toward the main gallery, which we are officially opening tonight, exists because of her $12 million donation. The largest single contribution in this museum's history. Miller's clipboard slipped from her fingers, clattering against the floor. Chen stood motionless, her face drained of color. Her name isn't just on the guest list, Thompson added, his voice gaining strength. It's literally on the wall of our main gallery in gold letters. Nicole's expression remained perfectly composed, though something flickered in her eyes, not satisfaction at their humiliation, but a quiet acknowledgement of a familiar pattern finally exposed. Perhaps, Nicole suggested calmly, we should discuss this somewhere more private. She glanced meaningfully at the dozens of phones still recording every moment. Thompson nodded quickly. Of course, my office immediately. He turned to the staff. Miss Chen, Mr. Reynolds, Miss Miller, you'll join us. The 4 staff members followed Thompson and Nicole toward the private elevator, walking through whispers and stares. The contrast was stark. Nicole moved with the same quiet confidence she'd shown all evening, while the staff shuffled behind like defendants approaching a sentencing. As the elevator doors closed, cutting off the view from the lobby, Williams addressed her live stream audience. "Did we just witness what I think we witnessed? The woman they tried to throw out owns the exhibition." Inside Thompson's office, with its panoramic views of Manhattan and walls adorned with priceless artwork, the air felt thick with tension. Thompson gestured for Nicole to take the most comfortable chair while the staff remained standing. "Miss Pierce," Thompson began, "I cannot begin to express my horror at what occurred downstairs. This institution prides itself on—" "Richard," Nicole interrupted gently, "before we continue, I'd like to see the security footage from the lobby." Thompson paused, then nodded to his assistant, who accessed the museum's security system. On a large monitor mounted on the wall, the entire incident replayed in high definition. Every assumption, every microaggression, every moment where Nicole was treated differently from white guests was captured with crystal clarity. When the footage ended, silence filled the room. Nicole finally spoke, her voice calm but resolute. "What you've witnessed isn't just about me. It's about who your staff assumes belongs in these spaces and who they believe doesn't." Thompson turned to the 4 staff members. "Effective immediately, all of you are suspended pending an investigation," Reynolds protested. "Sir, we were following protocol for—" "For what?" Thompson demanded. "For guests who look like Miss Pierce, because the footage clearly shows other guests walking in without having their credentials questioned." Chen began to cry silently, the magnitude of her career mistake dawning on her. Miller stared at the floor, unable to meet anyone's eyes. "Your immediate removal from tonight's event is non-negotiable," Thompson continued. "Security will escort you out through the service entrance." The irony of their exit route wasn't lost on anyone in the room. As the staff members were escorted from the building, Thompson turned to Nicole with genuine regret etched on his face. "Nicole, in 20 years of museum leadership, I've never been more ashamed of our institution. What happened tonight was inexcusable." Nicole studied the Manhattan skyline through the office windows, taking a moment before responding. "This isn't about my feelings, Richard. It's about who feels welcome in cultural spaces. Tonight, your staff made it clear that a black woman, regardless of her credentials, doesn't automatically belong here." Thompson nodded, the weight of her words settling heavily on his shoulders. "What can we do? Not just to make this right for you, but to ensure it never happens again?" "That's the right question," Nicole replied, "and I have some specific ideas." Outside the director's office, the gala continued, but the incident had already escaped the museum's marble walls. Rodriguez's live stream had been viewed by over 100,000 people. Clips began appearing on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok with hashtags like #MuseumWhileBlack and #Nicole trending nationally. The museum's social media accounts received thousands of messages within the hour. Major news outlets picked up the story, with headlines emerging. Black tech CEO and major donor profiled at her own exhibition opening. By 10:30 p.m., celebrities attending the gala were posting their own statements of support for Nicole. A prominent black filmmaker canceled his scheduled museum event for the following month. 3 board members texted Thompson demanding an emergency meeting. Meanwhile, in Thompson's office, Nicole outlined her response. "First, I won't be withdrawing my funding," she began, surprising Thompson, who had feared exactly that. "The exhibition highlighting black artists is too important, but I am requiring immediate changes." She opened her phone and displayed a document already prepared. Thompson recognized the strategic mind that had built a tech empire. Nicole had anticipated this scenario and come prepared with solutions. Mandatory anti-bias training for all staff, from security to curators. Anonymous testing of entry procedures to identify discriminatory patterns. A diversity audit of your exhibition choices, acquisition policies, and hiring practices over the past 5 years. And a dedicated budget line for community engagement programs specifically targeting underrepresented groups. Thompson studied the document, nodding slowly. "This is comprehensive and completely reasonable. I'm not interested in punishing individuals, Richard. I want systematic change. the kind that prevents this from happening to anyone else. As they spoke, Nicole's phone buzzed constantly with notifications. The video had reached 1 million views across platforms. Major civil rights organizations issued statements. The museum's Yelp page flooded with one-star reviews. "We need to make a public statement tonight," Thompson said, running his hand through his hair. "Yes," Nicole agreed. But not an empty apology. A commitment to specific changes, with timelines and accountability measures. Within the hour, they had crafted a joint statement. Nicole insisted that it acknowledged the broader pattern of exclusion in cultural institutions, rather than framing the incident as an isolated mistake. Thompson gathered his communications team, who looked shell-shocked as they reviewed the social media firestorm. The museum's press release went out at 11:45 p.m. The Museum of Modern Art acknowledges with profound regret the discriminatory treatment experienced by Nicole Pierce, our distinguished donor and partner at tonight's exhibition opening. This incident reveals systemic failures in our commitment to creating a welcoming environment for all visitors. At Ms. Pierce's guidance, we are implementing immediate changes. The statement detailed specific reforms, timelines, and a commitment to transparent reporting on progress. It ended with a personal note from Nicole. "My response to tonight's incident is not to withdraw from cultural spaces where we are underrepresented, but to transform them. I remain committed to ensuring that art institutions reflect the full diversity of artistic excellence and welcome all who wish to experience it." By midnight, as the gala concluded, the museum had already hired an independent firm to conduct an immediate diversity audit, scheduled emergency bias training for all public-facing staff, created a task force led by Nicole to redesign visitor experience protocols, committed $2 million to new accessibility and inclusion initiatives. The videos continued spreading across social media platforms, but now accompanied by Nicole's measured response and the museum's concrete commitments to change. 3 months after the incident, Nicole Pierce stood in the same museum lobby, now transformed in ways more significant than its physical appearance. The changes weren't merely cosmetic, they represented a fundamental shift in how the institution operated. The Museum of Modern Art had implemented every reform from Nicole's initial list, plus additional measures developed by the task force she chaired. Visitor demographics showed measurable change. Attendance by people of color increased 34% in the first quarter following the reforms. But Nicole understood that lasting impact required industry-wide transformation. She leveraged her experience into the Cultural Access Initiative, a nonprofit organization dedicated to democratizing art spaces across America. "What happened to me wasn't unique," Nicole explained during her TED Talk, which garnered 4.2 million views. "The difference was that I had the resources and platform to demand accountability. Most people don't." The Cultural Access Initiative developed a certification program for museums and galleries, establishing clear standards for inclusive practices. Within 8 months, 47 major institutions had enrolled, seeking the CAI certified designation that was quickly becoming a mark of institutional integrity. The museum's leadership structure changed dramatically. Thompson, to his credit, embraced the reforms wholeheartedly. The board expanded to include 5 new members from underrepresented communities. Hiring practices were overhauled, resulting in the most diverse curatorial team in the museum's history. More profound was the shift in exhibition choices. The following year's calendar featured 60% artists of color, compared to just 18% the previous year. Acquisition budgets prioritized works from artists whose perspectives had been historically marginalized. Reynolds, the security guard who had initially confronted Nicole, wasn't simply fired. At Nicole's insistence, he was offered the choice between termination and participating in developing new security protocols that wouldn't discriminate against visitors of color. Surprisingly, he chose the latter, becoming an unexpected advocate for change. "I had to confront my own biases," Reynolds admitted in a staff training video that was subsequently adopted by cultural institutions nationwide. "I was applying different standards based on appearance, not policy." The museum's visitor experience transformed completely. New welcome protocols ensured consistent treatment regardless of appearance. Anonymous testers regularly evaluated staff interactions, with results published quarterly on the museum's transparency dashboard. Beyond the museum walls, the art world took notice. 3 major national museums conducted their own diversity audits after Nicole appeared on the cover of Art Forum discussing institutional accountability. Gallery owners implemented similar reforms. Art schools revisited their curricula to address representational gaps. The most significant indicator of systemic change came 14 months after the incident. A comprehensive industry study revealed that major museums had increased acquisitions of works by Black artists by 41%, exhibition space dedicated to diverse artists had grown by 28%, and board diversity had improved by 23%. Cultural institutions have always reflected society's power structures, Nicole noted during the Harvard Arts Leadership Conference. Transforming these spaces isn't just about who feels welcome today. It's about whose perspectives shape our cultural narrative for generations. The security footage that captured Nicole's experience did more than document discrimination. It exposed how excellence, achievement, and even wealth don't shield Black Americans from being questioned about where they belong. When Director Thompson revealed that Nicole had funded the entire exhibition, the moment wasn't just about personal vindication. It illuminated something powerful. Dignity maintained in the face of disrespect can become a catalyst for transformation. Nicole didn't simply win an argument, she changed an institution. Have you ever been in a space where others questioned your right to be there? Perhaps it wasn't a museum gala, but a workplace meeting, an upscale store, or a neighborhood where someone assumed you didn't belong. That feeling, the immediate recognition that your presence is being evaluated differently, connects millions of experiences across America. Nicole's response offers a masterclass in converting individual pain into collective progress. Rather than focusing on punishing those who wronged her, she created systems that protect everyone who comes after her. Her approach raises profound questions for us all. When faced with discrimination, do we seek individual justice or systemic change? How might our personal positions of power, however large or small, be leveraged to create more inclusive spaces? What would our cultural institutions look like if they truly welcomed and represented everyone? If Nicole's story resonated with you, there are specific ways to transform that connection into action. First, share this video with someone who needs to understand how discrimination operates in cultural spaces. Tag them with your own experience of being underestimated or questioned about belonging. Second, examine the cultural institutions in your own community. Are their leadership boards, staff, and exhibitions representative of your community's diversity? The Cultural Access Initiative website offers tools to evaluate local museums and galleries. Third, if you've experienced similar treatment, consider documenting it. Your story matters, not just as a record of injustice, but as evidence that can drive institutional change. Finally, subscribe for more Black narratives that showcase how individual moments of dignity can transform systems of exclusion into pathways for belonging. Nicole Pierce turned what could have been just another humiliating experience into a movement that reshaped how cultural institutions operate across America. Your story might hold similar power.